The Bus Rapid Transit BRT came primarily to reduce travel time, cut down on cost of transportation, and ultimately improve the lifestyle of Lagos residents. In order to cater for routes within the metropolis where the BRT could not be implemented, Lamata introduced the bus franchise scheme, BFS.
The unique character of this scheme is that unlike the Bus Rapid Transit BRT that runs from Mile 12 to CMS on segregated lanes, the bus franchise scheme BFS runs from Ikotun, Igodo, Iyana-Ipaja to Maryland in mixed traffic. Since its inception in 2009, the scheme has had several challenges and pluses we'll be reviewing on the program today. Welcome and thank you for joining us. I'm Obafemi Craig.
I am Kate Harmony. Up next is a news update.
This is a news update on Lamata FR. Following traffic congestions resulting from torrential downpour around Itolu and Ajegunle areas of Mile 12 to Ikorodu, the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority Lamata has enjoined motorists and other road users to exercise caution as they make use of the section of the road. The warning came against the background of observed behavior of motorists, which could compromise the safety of other road users. A statement by Lamata said efforts were being made by the agency and the contractor to ensure free flow of traffic even as construction works progresses on the project. Lamata assured that relief will soon come the way of all residents and road users as soon as the project was completed and the road totally opened to traffic. Notwithstanding the current challenges, Lamata has commended the continued support of the project by motorists and residents along the project corridor and has appealed for more patience as the road is nearing completion. In the same vein, users of Wemco Road have been enjoined to cooperate with the contractor handling the rehabilitation of the road as work moved towards the intersection with Lateef Dakonde Road. The contractor is currently fixing the drainage on the other side of the road as well as sub-base works towards the intersection with Lateef Dakonde Road. It was observed that during peak hour rush, some motorists do block the flow of traffic, thus causing traffic congestion and delay in vehicular movement. Lamata urged motorists to consider the rights of other road users while using the road. The agency assured that it is working with the contractor to complete the road ahead of the scheduled completion date. That was the news update. Up next is On the Move.
Basically, what Lamata does is to coordinate public transportation in Lagos State, and we came up with a transport master plan.
Developed together with the World Bank, the objective of this plan is finding long-lasting solutions for the problem of transportation in Lagos. Currently under its first steps of development, the plan has already proven itself a big success, dramatically increasing the connectivity in a city in continuous expansion and enjoying an unparalleled demographic and economic growth.
Our responsibility is to ensure that we provide the necessary infrastructure to meet the growth, to improve the quality of life, to improve the standard of living, and to make Lagos a vibrant and livable city in years to come.
Lamata, think transport.
You're welcome back. We now bring you a mini feature on the bus franchise scheme, BFS, from Ikotun, Igondo, Iyana-Ipaja to Maryland axis. This is to show you what's been done to revitalize the system. Let's see this. It is common knowledge that a poor transport system can mar the day-to-day activity of any society. It can have a direct effect on the city's economy. This, however, is not the case for Lagos State government, as the state government had set the pace on the path of a dreamed mega city. This was why the bus franchise scheme was inaugurated, an initiative of the government to provide a seamless transport solution for Lagos State, with Alimosho local government as a pilot demonstration. It has had its down times and the good times, but we are here to bring you updates. We are here with Mr. Juwon Oshibanjo. He is the Managing Director of Cape Trust Investment Limited, the company that is in charge of the new bus fleet. And he's here to tell us, give us an update on what has been happening since he joined the company. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So what has your experience been like since you joined?
Well, my experience has been very wonderful.
Okay.
And has been very, very interesting. We came in effectively in April this year, and then we tried to understudy what is on ground. And effectively, we took over the operations on the 1st of May, 2014. And as at the time we came in, there are so many buses that are grounded. And since then, we have been trying to ensure that these buses come alive once again. Right now, there is room for about 150, but on ground there are 50 buses. Lamata on their own are trying to refurbish 25 buses. Okay. They've done 3 before we came in. Okay. And between that period and the end of May, they released additional 8, making 11 buses. And we are also trying to wake up to ensure that the remaining buses, we are trying to see what the problems, those little problems we are trying to fix. And the additional 8 buses are also been taken over by Lamata and making a total of 19 buses. That is 16 plus 3, that is 19 buses. And before the next couple of months, we expect them to have completed 25. On our own, we are also ensuring that we reactivate as many buses out of the remaining 25, so that we can meet the customers' needs and the yearnings of the people, of the environment, and put those buses on the road. However, we are still going to make a step further to ensure that we refleet and ensure that these buses, we get brand new ones. We have open discussion with our banker, and we hope that in the very close, nearest future, we think we'll be able to ensure that we have no buses on the field.
So now with Cape Trust Investment Limited, what should we expect? Are we expecting new things? Are we expecting new ways of running this scheme?
Yeah, with Cape Trust Nigeria Limited, Lagosians should expect the best, because to start with, 25 buses out of the present fleet is being refurbished by Lamata. As I'm speaking to you, already 11 have been done. And if you look out here, they are working on another 8. That's number 1. Number 2, Cape Trust is also making arrangements to add more buses to the scheme.
Because I mean, you have a very large expanse of land here, so you should take more buses.
Exactly. Actually, this depot is supposed to take 150 buses. Lamata made it for 150 buses. So there is still capacity for us to expand.
So we should expect more buses and
better service.
Better services.
Yes.
From all we have seen, it is clear that this is not a pleasant sight. But the state government is working through Lamata to deliver to you the Lagos of your dream, in spite of all these challenges. So we ask that you be patient as we move on this journey to recovery. For On The Move, I am Kate Harmony. You're welcome back. In the studio today to discuss the challenges and high points of the bus franchise scheme, BFS, is the Deputy Director, Bus Services Lamata, Dr. Desmond Amiegbebo. You're welcome to the program today.
Thank you very much. Dr. Desmond, can you please explain the concept of the bus franchise scheme?
Well, the concept of the bus franchise scheme is a concept that is built on ability, Lamata's ability to manage public transport reform. That bus franchise scheme actually was initiated before the BROT. But because of delay of funds, the bus franchise scheme had to be implemented later, after the BROT was implemented. So the concept just to demonstrate Lamata's capacity to manage public transport reform. And that concept has to do with having the ability to manage the union, having the ability to manage private sector with union collaboration, having the ability to manage bus systems that are not segregated.
Dr. Megbebe, what's the difference between the BRT that we all know and the BFS?
Well, BRT, in terms of infrastructure, you have the segregated lane. But for the BFS operation, just is an organized bus system. It must not necessarily, but the infrastructure that the running lane must not be. It must not. It doesn't need to be segregated. Yeah. That is the principal difference.
It's 5 years since its operation started in 2009.
Yeah.
And it's on record that the scheme had recorded some challenges and has equally made some impactful achievements. Now, can you take us through some of these achievements for people to really understand what we're saying here?
Achievement of that scheme has to do with the number of employment that are generated on that corridor, because the number of people working there, they at least, if not for that scheme, you would have said, where are these people, where would they have been without this scheme? So employment generation is an achievement. The number of passengers that's carried so far on that corridor is also an achievement. Currently, they are carrying, for the month of May, they carry about 370-something thousand people for the month of May. That is an achievement. Also, it has helped in terms of fare predictability. People, since the inception of that scheme, the fare has been stable. Once there was an increase in fare, but the operator had to revert. But for you to run such operation for 5 years, no fare increase, you predict how much you spend on transport, whether it rains or whether it doesn't rain, unlike the informal operator that jack off fare at that you are not going to see. So in the operation of that scheme. So in terms of fare predictability, in terms of affordability, we are talking about a journey where others may be charging 80 naira, charging 100 naira, but because of the fact that the mobility of the masses is a priority as a social responsibility, you discover that the price is quite low. Yeah. So in terms of fair product, in terms of affordability, in terms of the number of people that carry since inception, in terms of also the building private sector capacity, because that scheme is not being run by Lagos State government, it's being run and managed by a private sector. So when you talk about the reform, it has injected in terms of building the professional capacity of people who not naturally have known about running such a scheme. So there are a huge lot of achievement that scheme has brought on board since its inception.
Tell us the challenges you've had in the last couple of years, and what has Lamata done as a regulator to bring back this scheme to its operational effectiveness?
The challenges actually, let me start from the road infrastructure. Okay. The buses started operation in June 2009, and we all know that June is a rainy period. Okay. The road on that axis was in a deplorable condition. It was so bad then, before the state government actually intervened. And I can remember vividly in one of our tours of that road, I sympathized with the operators because the buses were new at that time. And for new buses to start their operation on roads that are in such condition, it was actually pathetic. They started at that time because the buses had arrived, and keeping the buses out of operation, demurrage, payment to the bank, financial obligation, they were there. So the buses were deployed just to make sure that the operator was able to commence the service of its load, but the rules on that axis were very, very, very bad. Now, that overall, on its own, affected every other thing as far as that operation is concerned. Okay. Number one, the new buses started experiencing high cost of maintenance. Number two, the number of trips the buses were supposed to make, they were not able to make it.
What is Lamata doing now to bring it back to its operational effectiveness?
Well, we have been able to get or secure or engage the appointment of a new operator, Cape Trust. Cape Trust Limited has been in operation, it runs buses in other routes in Lagos. It has the experience, it has the capacity, and after due assessment, he was engaged. Now, as part of what is on ground is the refurbishment of the buses. Because like I told you earlier, the roads were bad, the buses were brought in, low fare, high cost of maintenance. The operators that were had could not really cope with some of those challenges that were on board. So what is on ground now is that about 11 buses have been refurbished. 8 buses are undergoing refurbishment now, and these refurbishment are planned sequentially to ensure that the operation is not affected.
Should we expect the BFS on another route now that we're talking about reform that is in place?
When they started, you agree with me that they just started from Ikotun, Igondo, Yanokbaja, down to Maryland. Ayobo is opening up. That could be, or that is an avenue for extension. And as we have more infrastructure in place, basically the potential, the possibility of extending BFS is there.
We're going on a break now, and when we come back, we'll take questions from our audience.
Good to have you back. We have been discussing the operations of the bus franchise scheme BFS on Ikotu Igondo, Iyanokpaja to Maryland axis, and it's time now to take questions from our audience.
I commend Lamata for a job well done, and I want to ask if the scheme is open to business investors, and secondly, if there's any plan to extend the route to like Iyanoba, that's after Igondo axis.
The scheme as it is now that the Ikotu Igondo, Iyanokpaja BFS, there is no, it's only one operator it can accommodate. It's not open for other business investors to come in. But for other opportunities, business opportunities are still available, the bus sector in Lamata, so you can explore other opportunities that are available outside the Iyanokpaja BFS scheme. The scheme already runs from Igondo to Lasso. Yes, it started the operation from Igondo to Lasso. Then from Lasso, it terminates and then come back to Igondo.
What are your strategic plans for the future? I mean, say 5 years to this time. What are your strategic plans for the future to make the scheme work better? The
strategic plans we have in place is, number one, is to make that operation viable. And one of the decisions we have taken to fulfill that strategic plan is to get an operator, a new operator with experience, a new management with experience, which is on board now. Now, another key strategic plan we have in place to make that operation viable is the deployment of intelligence transport system. And already with the e-ticketing was launched about a year ago. And what we are doing now is we are deploying a system which, of which the e-ticketing system is a sub, and that is the intelligent transport system. That will help us to monitor the performance of the buses, to enhance the operation of the buses, to enhance scheduling of the buses. It's going to enhance maintenance of the buses. It's going to enhance the performance measurement of all the buses. And that being said, that means we can interface with the current BRT. Take, for example, if you can live in Yanokpaja and you all the way to Maryland, and from Maryland to CMS and things like that, is going to possibly positively affect the operation. Now, another key strategic plan is to extend the the BFS route. The current route they are running, we know that a lot of people live at Ayobo, and Ayobo road is okay now. And then they can talk about extending the services to Ayobo and other routes. Another key is to improve on the maintenance of the buses. Like we said earlier, the bad road ab initio affected the buses right from the beginning. And then these buses need to be put in better shape. These buses need to perform better. These buses need to deliver value, and then amongst others. Then another thing is the increase in fleet. The increase in fleet, which is very, very key. We know that route from the feasibility study carried out was supposed to, the demand is such that 150 buses will be required to service that route. So it's the operator part of his plan, which we have also discussed with him, is increase on the number of buses currently running the operation of that scheme. So all these are things that will be done to ensure that operation remains stable and remain sustainable.
Well, to our lovely audience, we say thank you to you for being a guest here today. And of course, Dr. Desmond Amiagbebo, we sincerely appreciate your being a guest on the program today as well. But then what parting thoughts would you leave our viewers and audience with?
We know that the BFS scheme has generated a lot of controversies, responses, and we are addressing some of those issues. And one of the key decisions taken so far was to bring a new operator on board with the expectations that the services, the performance of the scheme will be better. So we'll employ that the users of this scheme should be patient with the reform that is going on that scheme.
We thank you once again, Dr. Desmond, for being our guest here on the program.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this break. Ohun tí àlejò wa ń bá wa sọ lórí ètò tòní ni pé ní òtítọ́ àti ní òdodo àwọn nǹkan kan wà tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó lórí ètò ọkọ̀ bus franchise scheme èyí tí à ń pè ní BFS tó ná Ìkọ̀tún, Ìgàndò, Ìyànàpájà sí Maryland. Wọ́n á fi yé wa wípé wọ́n ti gba alámòjútó míì tí yóò ṣe àwọn àtúnṣe nǹkan wọ̀nyí. Wọ́n wá rọ̀ wá pé ká ní sùúrù kí ohun gbogbo kó lè ní ìtumọ̀.
Our guests don talk say this bus franchise scheme BFS wey government don give us, wey dey carry people from Ìkọ̀tún, Ìgàndò, Ìyànàpájà reach Maryland, true be as e get before. Now another operator don come, so better services don come. Make we get patience, make we cool temper as better don come.
Do please connect with us using any of the following. We love to hear from you.
Every member of our audience will go home with a loaded Lagos Connect card. And we do hope you enjoyed today's episode. Till next week, Lamata.
Think Transport! Lagos, my home. With Lamata, Lagos is changing for the best. BRT lanes, modern rail.